Hi guys, Cooking with Dad here. Today we're going to make a basic pizza crust. Very basic. It's good for a thin pizza crust. So we'll get on with it. We'll get started. Well, today I'm going to make a very basic pizza crust. The whole idea here is that we don't use a baking stone or a scale or any of those things. It's just going to be very simple and with just a few tools. So first of all, the recipe calls for 2½ cups of flour. So we'll measure 2½ cups of flour, and the key to measuring flour is to make sure that you lightly put the flour into the dip it into the flour, and make sure you kind of just get a lightly packed flour. Because if you thrust it in there really hard, you'll get a really dense packing of flour, and your proportions will be off. So it's 5 cups of flour and 7 ounces of water. So it's 2½ cups of flour, 7 ounces of water. And the water has a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of sugar, and 1½ teaspoons of yeast, and a teaspoon of olive oil. So you mix that together. And you just kind of, and the whole idea here is just to make sure you mix all the ingredients together. Try to keep everything in the bowl. So once it's in a bowl, it's in a mass like this, so we'll just leave it in the bowl for about 15 or 20 minutes and let it rest. And then we'll give it a final kneading, and we can let it proof after that. So we'll be back in 15 or 20 minutes. Well, welcome back. The dough's been resting for like 15 or 20 minutes, and now it's time to just knead it a little bit to make it nice and smooth. And we just have to do this for a couple minutes, 2 or 3 minutes, and it'll become nice and smooth, and then we can separate it and let it proof. So the dough is going to be a little bit sticky because it has a lot of water in it, and the sticky dough will give you a nice pizza crust. So this will give you having a lot of moisture in it will give you a nice thin pizza crust. If you want a pizza crust that's a little more bready, a little more dense, you can cut down on the water. And I think this will make like, you can make 2 12-inch pizzas, or you can make 1 pizza, and you can use a 11½ by 17 cookie sheet. You just make a rectangle pizza. Either one works. Okay, so we're going to cut this in half. Get a knife and cut this in half. We'll just cut this in half. Put a little flour. So that it'll stick. And we'll shape it a little bit. Nice round. Then cover them with a little plastic wrap. We cover them with a little plastic wrap, and then we'll let them rise, let it double, more or less, and let it rise. It'll take like 2 or 3 hours. depending on your room temperature. It could take a little more. So you can let it rest for a few hours, or if you want to speed up the process a little bit, you can turn the light on in your oven and put these in the oven and use the heat from the light to kind of like warm up the area. Just leave the light on for about half an hour or so, and then you can shut the light off or it'll get too warm. So we'll be back in about maybe 3 hours, 2 or 3 hours, and then we'll shape the dough and make the pizza. The other thing you can do is at this point is that you could put this dough in the refrigerator and leave it overnight, and that way you can make the pizza the following day. You can make it tomorrow, let's say, by just taking it out of the refrigerator and letting it warm up before you're ready to use it. So that's another thing you can do too, is that you don't need to make the dough. You don't need to use the dough today. You can put it in the refrigerator overnight and use it tomorrow or the day after. Okay, we'll be back. Okay, we're back. It's been about 2.5 hours, and the dough has been proofing here for that time, and it looks like it might be ready to go. So, like I said, it's going to make 2 12-inch pizzas. What we'll do is we'll put a little bit of, it could be cornmeal or it could be flour, just something to keep the pie crust, keep the pizza dough from sticking. So it looks like it's risen quite a bit, so that's good. So we'll get it out of the little bowl. Ooh, it's sticking. So remember to grease the saran wrap. Okay, so here we go. So as you can see, the dough is kind of sticky because it has such a high moisture content. So you have to work with it. It's really pliable. So work with it from the outside in. So switch it from hand to hand and work with it. Kind of let it droop from the outside in, and that way you won't get a hole in the center. And then you put after it's looks like after it's like a certain shape here, you can put it down onto the pan and you kind of stretch it out with your hands so that it's nice and circular. You can put sauce on it. I think we're making pepperoni pizza today, so I'm going to put a little bit of sauce on it. You don't want to put too much sauce on it because then it'll, make the crust soggy. So just a little bit of sauce on it. And while I'm doing this, my oven is preheating. I have it at 475 degrees. And it should bake for like for 10 or 15 minutes. You just have to keep an eye on it to see when it's done. You'll know when it's done when the crust is brown and the cheese is all bubbly and gooey. So we're going to make cheese pizzas. So I got some mozzarella cheese, and it's shredded, yeah. So we'll just put some on it. Now put some pepperonis on it. And you can put anything you want. You can put olives on it. You can put green peppers on it. Whatever you like. And then when the oven is ready, I'm going to throw it in and we'll bake it for 10 or 15 minutes and we'll have pizza. We'll be back. Okay, so we baked them for about 15 minutes at 475 and took them out of the oven. They look done, and all we have to do is cut them up and we'll have pizza.